The new House impeachment manager is Democratic Congresswoman from Pennsylvania, Madeleine Dean. Congresswoman, thanks so much for joining us on this. Really appreciate it. Not surprising to hear this news of possibilities of Jim Jordan and Matt Gaetz's involvement, considering their support for him throughout. And they've been consistent on that. Some staunch support, even after the storming of the Capitol. Really surprising to hear from those two individuals, to say the least, but not surprising to hear what their roles may be in the impeachment trial. As I played the sound of Congressman Adam Schiff a little bit earlier during the first impeachment, of course, we know that that was based on the Ukraine phone call with the Ukrainian president, a quid pro quo, shall we say. And it seemed like the objective of Congressman Schiff at the time was to make sure the president didn't lie again, was to stop him in his tracks, to keep him from abusing the powers of the office of the presidency. What is your objective going into this impeachment?
Well, it just reminds me of Maya Angelou's wise words, and I'm paraphrasing. When someone reveals himself, believe him the first time. And so Adam Schiff's words were absolutely, chillingly, directly on point. Look where we are. There has never been a greater betrayal by a president of the United States against his oath and against his country than by the actions of Donald Trump inciting insurrection and attack on the Capitol at the time of a joint session with the vice president in the building. Never been a greater betrayal.
It's going to come down to McConnell, some reporting is indicating. This from an NBC piece on McConnell's impeachment decision, writing, the outcome could come down to McConnell, who has a deep reservoir of trust within his caucus. If he were to back conviction, he could lead more reluctant senators to follow suit. What will be the appeal that is made, especially to an individual like Leader McConnell?
The appeal is what we all witnessed, and many of us went through. I was in the Capitol. I was in the gallery, trapped there for a short while. The senators were under attack. We were under attack. That mob was there with the intention of assassinating the speaker, hanging the president's own vice president, and hunting down members of Congress like Senator McConnell. This is it's such a tragedy for our country. And so I am certain Senator McConnell and all of the senators are reflecting on their duties as this moves forward. I hope for a conviction. I hope we are successful in putting the case before the American people. Of course, the American people witnessed it themselves. But I hope, and I hope we get the votes of all of the congressmen, Mitch McConnell, importantly, among them.
How much do you think the senators' decisions on their votes will be based on the president's behavior and the behavior of his followers and his voters in the coming 3 days?
I have no idea. I have not spoken to senators about that. We certainly saw the claims of some of the members of the House in terms of their vote to certify the election or regarding impeachment, that they seemed to make it based on politics or based on they didn't feel safe, therefore they threw their vote the wrong way. Very strange rationale from members who are sworn to uphold their oath of office as well as the Constitution and the law. I don't have any speculation on the senators. The senators are the greatest deliberative body on the planet. And I count on them to deliberate, to take the facts, the evidence, and the Constitution and the constitutional oath this president took when they cast their votes.
What are your concerns if this president is acquitted yet again in the Senate?
I'm not going to anticipate that. I know we have a job to do. And the reason we want to continue with this, regardless of if the Senate fails to convict, and I'm very hopeful that they will not. As I said, if there were ever a greater crime, I don't know what it would be against this country. But what my hope is that we are there. We clearly put forward the case because what it also sets is deterrence. If we don't move forward with this trial in the Senate, it will say to any future leader that you can go on a crime spree at the end of your term and you will not be held accountable. So we're doing it for deterrence, for constitutional accountability, for the protection of our Constitution and our precious rule of law, for the protection of our government. It's so important we do it. And I hope that we will then also take the next step, not only convict, but prevent the president from ever holding office again. We saw that he didn't learn his lesson by being impeached #1. We don't want him to get another shot at serving.
And what does it say, Congresswoman, to the world that have seen the United States as a pillar of democracy for so long, that you can have a president in charge who incites an insurrection, who tells his supporters to storm the Capitol, and who spreads lies about an election, the freest and fairest that we have seen in our nation's history?
Oh, I know that our partners around the world are heartbroken for us and for this attack on our democracy. We absolutely know that. But what I believe they are counting on is for us to do our constitutional duty, and convict this president, bar him from ever holding office, and send up a signal to the world that we do value and hold precious our constitutional rule of law, our democracy, and this republic. And of course, the world is watching, as very importantly, Vice President Biden will become President Biden, and Kamala Harris will become our vice president. Now, there are two people who value our precious rule of law and our Constitution and their own public service.
Democratic Congresswoman Madeleine Dean from Pennsylvania, thank you so much, Congresswoman, and thanks for taking the time out on this Saturday afternoon.